Hello and welcome to Astro Q A, my new series where I pick an astrology topic from a beautiful bowl and then speak on it for all of you. Happy St. Patrick's Day. I wanted to start today by sharing a fun fact about Mr. St. Patrick. You guys are not gonna believe this. St. Patrick was not Irish. He was actually a British man who was taken as a slave to Ireland for 6 years, where he spent his time as a shepherd and he contemplated the meaning of life, which strengthened his spirituality and his faith in a higher power. Later, he returned to Britain and committed to the Catholic Church, and then later in his life actually went back to where he had been an enslaved person in Ireland, and he converted the Irish society that had been mostly pagan to the Irish Catholic faith. So I don't know what you all think about that, but I thought that was a very interesting story. And so I guess, we celebrate him today on St. Patrick's Day for all he did. So yeah, anyway, I thought I would just share that with you guys. I love holidays and I think it's so fun to learn about their origins. So in here we have our astrology topics. Like I said, this is the pilot episode, so let me know in the comments below if you like it. All right, a lot of these ideas I came up with like years ago. So let's see. Oh my God, I'm so scared. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, okay. Can you see it? It says 9th house north node, time for silence. It's funny that we would get this one because this is one of the only topics I've already spoke of in terms of houses on my channel. 9th house north node is about finding God. You know what? Actually, this is very apropos for our St. Patrick journey. This is this is exactly the life of St. Patrick. He is a very good role model for the 9th house north node. We can often understand a north node by thinking about its opposite, the south node. If you have the 3rd house south node, it means that you spent a lot of your past lives, you probably chatted about the common things. Oh, how's the weather? Oh, I really like this, but I like this kind of day better. Oh, what was in the news today? Oh, hello neighbors, good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Like, you spent a lot of time socializing, mixing and mingling. The 3rd house is the place of siblings, and it's the place of our neighbors, and it's the place of our childhood friends, and it's the place of those like little travels about town. So if someone has a really good 3rd house, like often they just enjoy exploring their neighborhood. They just have abundant socializing with the people that they see and pass like every day in their common life. And they're usually like super plugged into like what's going on. In modern times, this would be like a person who knows exactly what's trending. And not only do they know what's trending, but they know just how to talk about it to garner attention. And they're great at asking questions, and they're great at like striking up conversation with anyone, especially about those topics that just resonate with the masses. Sometimes it can even indicate maybe a prior life as a journalist or something. 3rd house is common knowledge. 3rd house is Google, It's like the first, like maybe, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 results on Google. If you type into Google, what is the meaning of life? That's 3rd house. And all of this is opposite to the 9th house, which is about the higher meaning, the higher truth. 9th house is where we find God. It's also where we find gurus. It's also where we find professors. During my last ninth house year, I also found myself drawn very much into complicated research. The common knowledge is third house, and that's actually amazing. I love the third house. But there is also the knowledge that is there for the initiated. There is knowledge that takes effort to gain. And it could be said that that type of knowledge, say spiritual knowledge, philosophical knowledge, advanced academic knowledge, it may inherently on some level be a little bit more valuable. It's certainly valuable in this time where we're inundated with common knowledge all the time, and even our advanced knowledge is often sort of reduced to these sound bites that don't really contain the truth. So if you have a ninth house north node, you are in search of a higher truth. I see this as the place of journeys, and one of the significations of the ninth house is actually long distance travel. So earlier I talked about its opposite, the third house. We're just jet setting around town, around the neighborhood, exploring what's right nearby, hitting the local spot. Ninth house, maybe say 200 years ago, right? I mean, these are the people with the ninth house calling that were going to get on the ships, and they were going to go on those journeys to the new land, you know, and that was going to take 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, a year, multiple years. We can gain a lot of insight about what does it really mean to be human, you know, beyond the body, beyond the personality, beyond the family we were born into. We can gain a lot of core understanding about what does it mean to exist. What is the core humanity, by going into a culture that is very, very different from our own and seeing, wait, amongst this culture that's very different, what is the same? What is the common core of humanity? And in that search, we can often find a far, 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 far greater truth. I know a lot of people who have the ninth house north node, and I've noticed within many of them that there's a difficulty in unplugging after lifetimes of mixing and mingling and just making conversation with all the strangers and, you know, having these wonderful sibling relationships where they're besties and all this kind of stuff. It can be scary to do what the monks do, to do what the professors do, to do what the prophets do. It can be scary to sit with yourself. Sometimes at first we hear some kind of inner voice screaming in the silence. And yet the way to God is to walk through that silent period. If you want to hear a higher power, you know, that's what my whole life is about, actually. Core of my work is as a psychic. And my own journey involved getting very, very ill to the point that I had no choice but to withdraw from everyday life. And in that withdrawal, in the hours, in the silence, I began to hear the voice of a higher power speak to me. This is a calling into the silence. Most ninth house activities are done in silence, or something akin to silence. Maybe it's chanting, or maybe it's drumming. But I think of the ninth house as being a place of publishing. It's being there at your desk, writing, not writing a Twitter post, writing a book, writing something long form. You know, it's the student who late in the hours of the night is sitting under hopefully a dim lamp, poring over the literature. To know what's common, to know the fun facts isn't enough. The ninth house is seeking something more. And a person who's called into the ninth house is on a desperate quest for truth. What is that truth? What are you searching for? Well, maybe look to the sign of the north node to give you an indication. There is something that you're searching for. Higher education and academics tends to be very favorable. Some type of formal education tends to be favorable with the ninth house, whether that is university education or some sort of religious study. You will be satisfied by going on the quest. You will become satisfied by becoming an expert in something. Eventually, as you age, there's a mission to teach, to share information, to grow your wisdom knowledge base, to become an expert, and to hold within you an expert knowledge. You know, I think of someone like Dr. Andrew Huberman. He lives on this axis. You know, clearly he has expertise in probably one particular field, which is neurobiology. And he has a very famous podcast now. He spent years in the laboratory doing research, teaching as a professor. And now in, you know, this probably second, third phase of life, right? He's educating the public, and he's a storehouse of knowledge. And somehow, some way, if you have the 9th house North Node, you're on a journey like that. And it might take some time to discover what your passion is. And you're going to discover what your passion is in the quiet, in the silence. I am a proponent of meditation, but I don't think meditation is the best form of silence for everyone. You must kind of see what works for you, what puts you into that state of receptivity where your mind can really ponder the deeper things. You know, for some people it might be the travel. You know, it might be walking the streets of a foreign country. It might be journaling, it might be writing, it might be long walks. It might be sitting in a cave, literally. That was the way. You know, maybe it's visiting an ashram. There could be many, many things, but certainly with a 9th house North Node, it's important to find mindfulness. It's important to unplug. It can take courage to actually turn off the phone, but you have to turn off the phone. You have to learn to resist that craving to text someone, give someone a call, scroll social media. You can start small. But with the 9th house, you need quietude, where our minds are amazing things. They know where to focus us. When we let our mind be free, and by the way, freedom, super core to the 9th house journey as well. When we let our mind be free, it gives God, Source, the universe, the guides, the angels, a chance to implant the ideas that represent our pathway to our destiny. But when we're cramming information in our minds, when we're engaged in constant conversation about what's trending, there is no opportunity for God, Source, the universe, the guides, and the angels to work within our heart and mind. An example of starting small with silence would be just don't listen to or watch anything when you're in the shower. Then you've got, 10 minutes of quiet, setting the intention that your mind will attune to higher truth. I think of the 9th house as truth with a capital T. Maybe you start cooking in silence. You don't talk to anyone, don't call anyone, don't listen to anything. Or maybe there's something you listen to. I find often if what we're listening to is not verbal, maybe it's harp music or it's frequencies, still our mind can search and become free. But maybe it's when you're cooking, and with time you just add a little bit more time of quiet. It's part of the common teaching for North Node in Aries or North Node in the 1st house to spend time every day alone. Say, for example, an hour every day alone. I would say for the 9th house North Node, there is a need for daily time in quiet. That's probably the distinction. For North Node in Aries, just being alone, maybe they're at the gym or something, that's enough. That's bold. I think for North Node in the 9th house, being drawn into the quiet is more important, because you might find yourself amongst some monks at a monastery all kneeling together, and yet you can find God in that practice. But I think the quiet is key. In this modern time of so much noise, there's a boldness and there's a courage in stepping into the quiet. I think of some cards in the tarot that remind me of this, and one is the Hermit card. Another would probably be the 4 of Swords. I do live a life of devotion to higher knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, the pursuit of higher knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. My knowledge, wisdom, and understanding is grown through the quiet. We can take in information all day, but if we don't give our brain and body a chance to process and integrate that information, it's not going to be translated into long-term knowledge. We have more access in this modern time to being inundated with information. This was never the case before. If you wanted to know something, you had to maybe walk down to the library. The walk itself would give you a chance to process the information, right? You know, browse the books on the shelf, sit alone, read, and then maybe walk back home and sort of process and store that information. If you want to be wise, and you want to gain truth, and you want to gain a higher understanding, all of which is your destiny, if your North Node falls in the 9th whole sign house, you must have the courage to withdraw in order to find the deeper meaning beyond what's right there on Google or YouTube or TikTok or what people are chatting about. There does exist knowledge which is there for the initiated only. Think about St. Patrick, right? He was taken a slave and spent 6 years as a shepherd in the field. 6 years contemplating the meaning of life. In that process, his own faith was strengthened. Good things do take time, and wisdom isn't gained overnight. And it shouldn't be. So, if you have the 9th house North Node, in whatever way, just start wherever you are. Embrace quiet. Embrace silence. Ask larger questions. Move beyond common knowledge. Power off or silence your phone. And go within. Go within. There is a part of you that knows. Inside of you is a little spark of the divine that will lead you into your higher wisdom, into your expert knowledge. And the way to get in touch with that voice is to step into the silence and let the silence speak to you. And so that's a little bit about the 9th house North Node. Let me know if you enjoyed today's Astro Q A video. I've got quite a bit of topics here in the bowl, but I'm also looking to add even more. So if you have an idea and you'd like to kind of put your idea into the bowl, or you would like me to, then please put it in the comments below. If anybody's interested in an astrology reading to discover your destiny, I do have a reading called Astro Q A with psychic insight. That is astrology reading, which also includes psychic messages if any come through. You can find out about that and more in my pinned comment below. Thank you for watching. Many blessings to all of you, and namaste. Happy St. Patrick's Day.